Hello Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's maths lesson. Now over the last few days we have been learning about maths, haven't we? And we've been measuring mass in grams and in kilograms. Now today we're going to be moving on to looking at capacity and volume, and we'll find out what these two words mean in a little while. But before we do, let's warm up our brains with our flashback. So here's your flashback for today. Again, you have 3 questions. In the first question, you need to have a look at the clock and have a look at the minutes hand and the hour hand. And I would like you to tell me what time is shown on the clock. Then in the second question, you need to have a look at the shape and tell me what fraction of this shape is shaded in. Okay, so what fraction of this shape is shaded in blue? Then number 3, you need to work out 57 subtract 43, and I would recommend using column subtraction to help you here. Okay, so pause the video now and have a go at your flashback. Okay, Year 2, so how did you get on? Fantastic. Well, let's find out. Okay, so number 1, what time is shown on the clock? Well, let's start by looking at the minutes hand. Now we can see that the minutes hand is pointing to the 9. Okay, now if it's pointing to the 9, is that past the hour or to the next hour? Yes, that's right, it's to the next hour, isn't it? But how many minutes to the next hour? Well, shall we count together in steps of 5, starting from the 11? Okay, so count with me. We've got 5 minutes to the hour, 10 minutes to the hour, and 15 minutes to the hour. Now, do we say 15 minutes to? No, we don't, do we? What is the same as 15 minutes? Ah, yes, that's right. It's quarter of an hour, isn't it? So therefore, it is quarter to, but quarter to what? Where is the hour hand? Well, the hour hand is nearly at the 3. So therefore, it is quarter to 3. So well done if you got that one. Okay, number 2, what fraction is shaded? Now, first of all, let's have a look at how many parts the shape has been split into. So we can see that the shape has been split into 4 equal parts, 4 equal sections. So therefore, our denominator is going to be 4, isn't it? It's been split into quarters. But how many of these quarters have been shaded in? Well, we can see that there are 2 quarters shaded in. So we can say 2 quarters of this shape are shaded in. Okay, but we know that 2 quarters is the same as another fraction, isn't it? Can anyone remember what fraction is the same as 2 quarters? Yes, that's right, it's a half. So therefore we can say that 2 quarters of this shape are shaded in, or we can say 1/2 of this shape is shaded in. Okay, so well done if you managed to spot that one. Okay, now number 3. 57 subtract 43. Now I recommended you use column subtraction for this question, so I am going to use it myself. Okay, so let's start with the ones. Well, we can see that we've got 7 ones subtract 3 ones. Now what's 7 subtract 3? Ah, yes, it's 4, isn't it? So there we go. We have got 4 ones. What about the tens? Well, we've got 5 tens subtract 4 tens, which is 110. So there we go. 57 subtract 43 equals 14. Okay, fantastic. So now let's move on to today's learning. So as I said, we are going to be looking at capacity and volume. Does anybody know what these words mean already? Fantastic. Well done if you do. Let's start by looking at capacity. Okay, now what does capacity mean? Well, we can see here that we have 4 different objects. We have a glass cup, we have a spoon, we have a mug, and we have a bucket. So what does capacity mean? Well, capacity is how much liquid something can hold. So if all of these objects were full, so if the glass cup was full, the spoon was full, if the mug was full, and if the bucket was full, that would be the capacity. How much liquid, when they are full, can they hold? Okay, so what's the most amount of liquid that they could hold if they were completely full? So that's what capacity means. Now, when we talk about capacity, we can use different vocabulary. We can use more. So we could say that one container has more capacity than another. So we can see here that the bucket has more capacity than the spoon. Okay, you'd be able to fit more liquid inside it. We can also say that something has less capacity than something else. So we could say the spoon has less capacity than the bucket. Okay, the other way round. We can fit less liquid into the spoon than into the bucket. Okay, now we can also use greatest and least. Okay, so greatest would be which of these items can hold the most water or the most of any liquid, and least would be used to describe the container, the item that could hold the least amount of liquid, okay, when it was full. So let's now use these words in some sentences. Okay, so here are my 4 containers. So again, I've got my glass cup, my spoon, my mug and my bucket. Okay, now at the bottom I have my words more, less, greatest and least. Now I'm going to start by comparing the glass cup and the spoon, and I would like to use the word more. Okay, now after the glass cup and the spoon, which of these would be able to hold more liquid? Well, I can see that the glass cup is slightly bigger, can you? So therefore, I think I'm going to write the sentence, the glass cup has more capacity than the spoon. So if they were both full, the glass cup would be able to hold more liquid than the spoon. It has more capacity than the spoon. Okay, now this time I would like to use the word less. Now I've used the glass cup and the spoon, so this time I'm going to use the mug and the bucket. Now, which of these, the mug or the bucket, has less capacity? Well, I can see that the bucket is definitely bigger. Can you see that too? So therefore, I'm going to write the mug has less capacity than the bucket. So when they're both full, the mug can hold less liquid than the bucket. So well done if you managed to spot that as well. So now it is your turn. What I'd like you to do is we've used more and we've used less. So now I'd like you to use greatest and least. Can you create 2 sentences using the words greatest and least? So pause the video now and have a go. Okay, year 2, so let's see how you got on. Well, let's start with greatest. Which of these 4 containers, the glass cup, the spoon, the mug or the bucket, has the greatest capacity? So the one that could hold the most liquid. Well, yes, can you see that it is the bucket? The bucket is the biggest, isn't it? It could hold the most liquid. So therefore we could write the bucket has the greatest capacity. There is no other container here that would hold more liquid than the bucket. Okay, now what about least? Well, we know that least means the one that can hold the least amount of liquid, and we can see that that's the spoon. So therefore we can write the spoon has the least capacity. Okay, so well done if you managed to spot that and write those sentences. Okay, so now let's move on. Now we know what capacity is, how much a container can hold when it's completely full. Let's find out what volume means. Okay, so what is volume? So again here, we've got some containers. We've got 2 different types of cups now. We've got 2 different types of mugs and we've got a bucket. Okay, now volume is the amount of space the liquid takes up. Okay, so this is how much liquid there is in a container. Okay, so this time the container doesn't have to be full. It is just how much liquid there is in there at that time. Okay, so we could use, when we're talking about volume, the word full. So if you have a glass of water, it could be full, and the volume then is full. That is the amount of space that the liquid takes up. There's no more room in your glass. It is full, and that's its volume. We could also say that it was empty. So if you finished your lovely smoothie that we made in class, we could say that it is empty, and that's its volume. That's the amount of space that the liquid is taking up. Well, there's no liquid in there, so therefore it's empty. There's no space that the liquid is taking up at all. We could also use the word almost, okay? So we could say that it is almost full or it is almost empty. So if something has just a little bit in the bottom, okay, it's not completely empty, we could say that it is almost empty. Or the opposite, if you've only drunk a little bit of your drink and when you filled it up it was full and you've drunk a tiny little bit, we can say that it is almost full.